Well, we had some new information come out around the Bayonetta 3 situation that absolutely exploded online over the weekend. Talked a bit more about this in Newswave this morning, especially when it came to things getting out of control and Hideki Kamiya just going off on Twitter. But now we have a response from the current voice actor for Bayonetta in the newest game coming up, and we seem to have had a bit of a reversal card kind of played on the whole Boycott Bayonetta 3 situation, as it looks like it had maybe the opposite effect. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave Plus channel, make sure you're subscribed down below. So first of all, the boycott stuff. This is something that we've seen time and time again with other games. Most of the time, it's just from a community on the internet somewhere. It's some fans that get together and say, we're boycotting this game because there's a Nintendo 64 tree in this Pokemon game, or all the Pokemon aren't in there as no national dex, and the list goes on and on and on. It happens with Pokemon, seems to be the one that I notice comes up the most, but it happens with many game series. The Last of Us Part 2, it was wild online when it came to that. But in this case, Bayonetta 3 was interesting because it was someone who is deeply involved with the series from the fans' perspective, since she voiced Bayonetta with the first two games. She is the original voice, that being Helena Taylor, and she shows up on camera and says, don't buy this game. Donate the money to charity instead. We're boycotting Bayonetta 3. I noticed when that happened, there were a lot of people on Twitter who seem to have this entire moral conversation around if it's okay to buy the game or if they should basically follow along with the Helena Taylor and her message and just not buy a title that, I mean, some of these people have been waiting for 5 years for this game. And that's if you're someone who's been following it maybe since Bayonetta 2. I mean, sure, it's possible you could have gotten into the series somewhat recently after seeing Bayonetta 3 with previews and stuff. You go back and try the games on the Switch. But yeah, there are people who have legitimately been waiting since the first year of the Switch when Bayonetta 3 was revealed. 5 years of development time, and then 2 weeks out, you're told by someone so involved with Bayonetta to not buy it. So it wasn't too shocking to see people messaging back and forth publicly on Twitter, or even holding entire Twitter spaces going over the thought process around buying the game or not. But one thing's for sure, there was a lot of traction that got picked up here. I mean, so many places that I've never seen talk about Bayonetta talked about this situation. The video from Helena Taylor gained over 9 million views, which ended up being more exposure for the series than the trailer itself for the game, which got like 3 million views. And if we go over to Amazon, people were noticing that Bayonetta 3 had jumped into the top 50. It actually ended up in the top 30 for a while, and now it's kind of settled around 31, just ahead of Just Dance 2022 and behind Pokemon Legends Arceus. But it was up there ahead of something like Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, that is out this week, and it's now currently ahead of Madden 23, which Madden typically does well during the football season, especially earlier on, and then it kind of tails off. So while that's starting up now, it's still pretty impressive to see Bayonetta 3, which is a niche series. It just is. I mean, I had mentioned how much do people think it's going to sell when we were on the Spawncast, and I was getting 1 to 1.5 million lifetime sales thrown at me. I had said that it's possible the boycott could affect the sales for Bayonetta, and technically I was right. It just went in the opposite direction that maybe could have happened here with the voice of Bayonetta asking people to not buy the game. In fact, it could end up having, I guess, push this game to sales records overall in the series, and that tends to happen just in general with boycotts. The internet's really bad at doing boycotts, from what I've noticed, but we did get a response as well, this from Jennifer Hale, who is currently voicing Bayonetta. If you remember, Helena Taylor seemed to call out Jennifer Hale in one of her, I think her last video or the second to last video, and it was kind of strange because that started to get more into the bitter territory because she was frustrated that Jennifer Hale was signing as the voice of Bayonetta, even though she's the voice of Bayonetta currently. I know she's not the original one, but I mean, that's her job right now. She's getting paid by Platinum and Nintendo to voice this character. Well, we can see this from Jennifer Hale over on Twitter. She just posted this up about an hour or so ago. She says, with regard to Bayonetta 3, as a longtime member of the voice acting community, I support every actor's right to be paid well and have advocated consistently for this for years. Anyone who knows me or has followed my career will know that I have great respect for my peers and that I am an advocate for all members of the community. I am under an NDA and am not at liberty to speak regarding this situation. My reputation speaks for itself. I sincerely ask that everyone keep in mind that this game has been created by an entire team of hardworking, dedicated people, and I hope everyone will keep an open mind about what they've created. Finally, I hope that everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way. With love and respect to you all, Jennifer Hale. So the thing that's really tough about this, I figure for Jennifer Hale, is she's been kind of pulled into this when she didn't really have anything to do with it when it came to negotiations between Helena Taylor and Platinum, and sure, Nintendo and Sega, if you want to just lump them all together there. She didn't really have anything to do with that. She just ended up with the voice acting job, I guess, after they parted ways there with Helena Taylor and all of this, and she's like, oh, cool, I can voice Bayonetta in the newest game. Sure, I'll do that. So she gets roped into this whole thing that's this messy situation, but she can't say anything about it because she's under NDA. Helena Taylor mentioned she was breaking NDA in order to relay her side of the story, which we'll see if that leads to legal ramifications. Maybe that was the thing that I was most confused about with this situation, is I don't really know what Helena Taylor thought the overall conclusion was going to be to this entire thing, because she's not going to now work her way into voice Bayonetta. The voice acting is done. The game's out in 2 weeks. So I don't think Platinum or Nintendo would come back and just give her money. I don't think they would do a director's cut where they bring her in and there's like 2 different voices to it or something. I'm not really sure where this would have gone in Helena's favor, because at that time she would have just burned the bridge completely to what was her highest profile voice acting gig. In fact, she really hadn't done much other than be Bayonetta. But it's certainly a messy situation that's led a lot of Bayonetta fans to a crossroads. Which way do they go? Do they buy the game they've been waiting years and years and years to finally get, or do they follow the original voice actor that they feel has been slighted by Platinum and just not buy this game? Which, by the way, if the game doesn't perform well, and that's relative to Bayonetta performance, so most likely the Switch's overwhelming install size will at least prop the game up to be better selling than Bayonetta 2. But let's say it isn't, that could potentially destroy the series. This could be the last one ever made. And then who knows what happens with Platinum after that, because this is a game that they desperately need after what we saw with Babylon's Fall. This game, I feel like, is going to review well, and it'll be that sense of return to form for Platinum Games. And I assume they believe that sales will follow with it as well. But I guess we'll see. It's out in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to playing it, and we'll be talking about it on the podcast and all of this. But I have seen people who have decided to pass on buying the game, and once again, that is a personal decision that each person can make on their own. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.